Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order, and let me apologize for running late. We were in an executive session to discuss a legal matter and a lease matter, but we are eager to get things started this evening. Is there anybody online?
Everyone's here.
We're all at the table, everybody's good, but nobody else from the district? Okay.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And, sorry, guys, it's going directed towards me. I know, I feel bad. Here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As I said, the board met prior to this in an executive session to discuss a lease agreement and a legal matter, and we will now go into student recognitions.
Great. Thank you and good evening, everyone. I'm going to introduce Mr. Saracini. If you want to introduce the group. We're going to start with the saxophone quartet.
Hello. This is the saxophone quartet from the high school. We had a chamber concert where all the students in the symphonic band divided into smaller groups, and this group has a really cool song they wanted to share with you. This is Mancini Digs the Mambo.
Certainly a great way to start the meeting, and so we have Azalea, is that correct? And then Carter, Adam, no wait, Carter was at the end, Colin, Adam, and Carter. So thank you again.
Thank you.
our wonderful musicians here is to recognize some of our students who have achieved a great accomplishment with the 2026 Pennsylvania Music Educators Association, known as PMEA. We have two students who are in the All-State Orchestra, Noelle Hooper and Sophia Wilson. Noelle and Sophia, come on up. So Noelle was played the piccolo, and Sophia the English horn and the oboe. Is that correct? Congratulations, so Noelle. Thank you for your hard work and the dedication. We know playing an instrument is not done lightly. It takes a lot of time, energy, patience, practice, but you certainly represent yourselves and the district really well in getting to the All-State, which is absolutely wonderful on the orchestra side. Do you have any plans to continue that this summer and into what's coming next? Yeah? Are you going anywhere, any other competitions this summer? Or? Nothing yet? All right. Well, great. Well, congratulations. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize for the 2026 Pennsylvania Music Educators Association All-State Choir, if you saw Les Mis or dance theater, Sonia Shi, phenomenal vocals, absolutely phenomenal. Congratulations on the All-State and what you do. I do want to share this about Sonia Dance Theater at the end. I was there for the senior preview night to welcome members there, and during intermission, several members of our senior community came up to me and said, they were super excited about the show, but at the end of the show, where phenomenal spotlight on the vocals there and the dancing, they came back out and said, there is no way that she is in high school. No way. And there's a family that moved here from New York who I met at the musical, and they came back for dance theater, and they said, has she been on Broadway? Because if not, she's going to be there. So phenomenal work, so well done. I wanted to share that with you. Congratulations. And then also with PMEA All-State Concert Band, Colin Trowbridge with the baritone saxophone. Any plans for you with regards to continuing?
I don't know.
See what happens next? All right, well, congratulations. I'm also thrilled to be able to highlight a phenomenal author that we have, published author in our district. For his second book, we have Dylan Holmes here tonight. Dylan is a student at Mountville Elementary. Come on up, Dylan. He just recently wrote, and it's now published, the book Uniquely You. And I'm pleased to share that we have purchased copies of your books to be able to have in all of our libraries across the district with a plate inside of each book just to recognize your hard work and to thank you and encourage everyone to not only keep writing, but to be mindful that everyone is different and that's okay, and everyone is unique, and so we want to be able to honor that. So congratulations for being published author twice. Is there anything you'd like to share with everybody about your book or both books at this point?
I'm just thankful for people to believe in me.
Well, we do believe in you. We're so proud of you and all that you do, and we hope you keep writing, and we can't wait to see your next several books, hopefully that come, and we'll keep buying them. So they are available on Amazon. Free plug, on Amazon. So congratulations, Dylan. And then from a student council standpoint, I would like to start with Dr. Huff, one of our student council advisors. Which one's Dr. Over there.
It's over there.
Oh, the nameplate. You can't really see the nameplate.
Oh, yeah, we'll turn around, yeah.
Thank you. Oop, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I am.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for participating in our random knock. You guys were nominated by Student Council this month. Yeah, we want to just thank you for all you do. And we're so appreciative. And yeah, that's ultimately why we nominated you, because we're just so appreciative of all your work. If you wouldn't mind going back to those slides, that would be great. No worries. So this is part of our Try New Things initiative that we did this year. Try New Things was our theme, and so we were just trying new things, and this was one of them. So what we do is teachers every month nominate their classes, whether they had a great test, whether they all got their grades up. They nominate them, and then we as Student Council choose who we want to go and do the random knock for. And so we go to do the random knock, we play some music, we have treats just like we got treats for you guys, and we also, we have their teacher also writes out a little script for us, and we read it to them, and it's just amazing to see all their faces. They're so shocked. We have balloons and everything, so go in there, they're all stunned. Teacher knows what's happening, but they're all stunned, so it's really fun. We really enjoy getting to do that.
I just want to say, you can feel the smile. Like when you smile so much, it just makes everything feel better. So, and we all are smiling. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. So now I'd like to get the review of what we did this year. So as I said, Dr. Bossman presented our theme of Try New Things, and we really wanted to embrace this theme, and we actually had 3 new brand events this year. We had First Friday, Students and Staff Film Trip, and Random Acts of Kindness Week. Later on, we'll kind of explain each of those and how we did each of them. And we also tried new things with our existing 10 events that we have. And we ended the year with the Leadership Summit, where we emphasized create the culture. Again, we'll have slides later on, but it was a really fun event. Now I want to go into our current student council and our upcoming student council. So our current officers are Ethan Albright, who is our president. I'm currently our vice president. Talia Lieber is our secretary, and Sophia Deibler, who's not here, is our treasurer. Next year, I am very blessed to be our president. Maida will be our vice president. Sophia will be our secretary. Neil will be our treasurer. Bia will be our social media manager. And Miles Greer will be our club relations manager. Club relations manager is a new officer position that we have this year, and we're really excited to give it a shot next year. We really want to thank all of our representatives who served on this year's student council, and we have some upcoming representatives in the crowd, as well as some previous, so we want to thank you guys. Now I want to talk about this Create the Culture. So this was our theme for the student summit that we just hosted. And as a club, we decided that we want to create the culture for students, and doing that is getting them connected. Students thrive on connection. They ultimately just want to feel like they're a part of something, whether it's on social media or through our events. So this year, what we wanted to do was we wanted to take in what students were saying and try new things, embrace what they were saying to try these new things, and ultimately create the culture for them and just provide this community for them. Now to Sophia.
Hi, so something we did that's relatively new, we started it my first year of high school, is our freshman step-up day. So basically every year student council, we're assisting Dr. Becker, who's the 9th grade principal, with running a freshman transition day. So it's a day before the first day of school where freshmen can come up and see how our school works and explore, look for their classes. And something we did this year that was new is we had a pep rally for them. So it's going into our first Friday, which is also new. And we have a freshman here who's going to explain how she felt during.
As a freshman, I got to participate in this event, and I had a lot of fun. And speaking for my peers, it definitely got the hype up and excitement for the following year. One specific thing that it really helped us with is locating our classes around the school, especially in such a large school, and getting used to the schedule change compared to the middle school.
Good evening. I'm going to be talking about the First Friday. So this is something that we started this year, and recently we did a color clash. So each grade level of Hempfield High School gets a color for their entire year, and then they all have to wear it at the pep rally as kind of a school spirit, keeping up the culture. So we did the senior sunrise that morning. I have a lot of senior friends that loved it. They always love getting up and getting ready with their friends. And then we did the HHS Club Forum so that you could just sign up, see any clubs you want, get exposure to that. And then our school-wide pep rally at the end of the day, we have gotten lots and lots and lots of positive reviews about that. As you can see, we have Dr. Brossman. He is dressed up as our knight, and he presents our spirit sword, which goes to whatever class has the most spirit and wins the most relays. We do like a mattress relay, toilet paper, and we also make signs for everyone just to keep everyone up in spirits, and I think everyone really likes it.
Hello everyone, my name is Maida. I'll be the Vice President for next year's Student Council. So another fun thing that we do throughout the year is a week for homecoming. So this is a really fun week. We have a lot of things that we do, including fall fling, the powder puff, electing our king and queen for the homecoming court, and then obviously the dance, the homecoming dance on the Saturday, as well as the parade. The next slide has a lot of the pictures from our parade. We have 14 sports teams that show up. You can also see in the bottom picture that flag, so each sports team also gets their own flag. So this is really something that brings the entire Hempfield community together in terms of its sports, and it's just a really fun week for homecoming.
Good evening. I get to talk about the food drive and curbside coffee. These were my personal favorite parts of the year, so I'm really glad that I get to talk about them. Every November, we host a food drive and we collect local items. This is a really great way for people who are a little bit less involved in the building to donate and be part of the building. And then every December, before holiday break, we serve coffee, juice, and pastries outside. This was really fun. We got to stand outside with signs and watch people come in, so that was great.
Hi everybody, I'm Via, and I'm going to talk about the variety show. So this was an event that happened in November, and it worked kind of like a talent show. We got to see talents from dancing, singing, even a yo-yo show. The theme of the show this year was decades, and Student Council opened with a dance remix number up at the top corner. We charged $5 at the door, and then this money was used to buy pretzels at the Fall Fling and Spring Shipping.
This year, part of our new initiative, we had a students and staff film trip. Was really fun. I got to go on this personally. Stranger Things aired on New Year's Eve, so we went on New Year's Day. It was the finale, so it was more like a movie, less like a show. And so we charged students to go to this. However, it was at a much reduced rate compared to what normal theaters cost. So we rented out the whole Penn Cinema, and a bunch of students and staff went, and it was a really fun time. And next year we're planning on doing Sunrise of the Reaping as it premieres on Saturday, November 21st.
Good evening. I'm going to talk about the Sadie's Winter Formal. So this year we held our third annual Sadie's Winter Formal, and for the first hour we encouraged people who are more sensitive to light and the sound to come out, and this is an event where girls ask the guys, so it's a little bit different. And the sensory hour was a great success. A lot of people came, and in addition to that, we had a photo booth. As you can see in the leftmost pictures, we had photo booths, and you can see the current president, Ethan, taking pictures with various different people. And then for the rest, we had an active DJ, and additionally, we had the photo booth running, and that was something that we had new this year, and it turned out to be a great thing that we added.
Although it is freezing outside, Hempfield students make it out to the winter formal. From hanging out with friends, enjoying the music, and eating food, what's not to enjoy about the dance? One of the most underappreciated aspects of the dance is the amount of hours and dedication Student Council puts in behind the scenes.
But in terms of behind the scenes, the Student Council crew comes to the school right after school, usually maybe like an hour after school lets out, and we start setting up stuff like balloons. We'll set up the photo booth this year, which we're excited for. We put up a bunch of posters. So it's nothing really kind of difficult, but we just have to come a couple hours early and set up. And that's really fun to do together. We put balloons up all over the place. It's nice.
In addition to the regular dance, there is a sensory hour designed for students who are sensitive to loud music and flashing lights. This segment takes place during the first hour of the dance, and a lot of the students that come for this segment usually stay the whole duration of the dance because they enjoy it so much.
So the sensory hour is held from 5 to 6 p.m. The rest of the dance is held from 6 to 9. So we have some students who have expressed some concern about the darkness in the gym. So we leave the lights on for the first hour. We have some students who don't really like the really loud noise that happens with the DJ. So we have music that we play, but it's at a slightly lower volume, so it's not as intense. And the other thing is some students get really intimidated about coming to after-hour events by themselves. And so the sensory hour also allows families or siblings to come and kind of interact with students so that they have a chance to participate in a dance, but they don't have kind of so many students there. So a lot of times with the first hour, they'll come and they enjoy it and then they end up staying. But for some students who maybe don't want the intensity of the rest of the dance, they come for the first hour and then they are welcome to go home.
At Hempfield, there are 3 main dances, with every single one of them being unique.
So the homecoming dance is traditionally held in the Buchanan Gym, and prom is usually held off-site somewhere else. And so we wanted to have something that was held at Hempfield, but we wanted it to be a little bit different from homecoming. So we decided to amp up the decorations. We really try to flood the Buchanan Gym lobby with lots of decorations. We have a DJ that is coming in from an outside organization, so they are going to be doing lighting, which is a little bit different from traditionally some of the things that have been done at homecoming. And then new this year, we have a photo booth that is going to be open to all students. So part of their entrance fee will be that they can have pictures taken with their friends so that they can remember the night.
With all the new features, including the new photo booth and the new DJ, there's a lot students can like.
All right, what's your favorite part of the night?
My favorite part of the night is dancing with my friends.
Him.
Probably the music.
Being here with my friends.
The music.
My favorite part of the night is working with my awesome student council.
Oh my gosh, I get to see everybody all dressed up. They look amazing. This is such a fun night.
All in all, the Winter Formal is a place where students can relax for the night and also enjoy themselves.
For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Andres Torres.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our Random Acts of Kindness Week, which is actually a nationwide week that is celebrated. So we decided as Hempfield to take on this week, and I think it was a really, really good decision because this is a moment for students to understand just the basic things in life, not just focusing on all academic stuff, but really take a step back and appreciate all the kindness and the good things in life. So we also featured a kindness bingo on the Friday. Monday we had off because of a holiday, but on Friday we had a kindness bingo when motivational quotes were read aloud during the day, and students would partake in the kindness bingo. If they won, they would get a prize. So this was really a fun week. Random Acts of Kindness Week is really important, so it was important for us to take this on and spread the kindness within our school.
Together at pep rally to finish off Kindness Week. Whether you missed a pep rally or you want to know what happened, I'm Arlo Entefone here of Studio 7 to show you. Now here's the president of Student Council, Ethan Albright. He's here to tell us what it took to put this entire thing together.
In terms of planning, we really try to keep it open to everyone in our meetings. And to kind of preface, we plan stuff by having Win 5 meetings. And we all meet as a big group. There's about 40 of us, and we kind of bring things up that we've either seen online or we've seen other student councils do. Yeah, so sacrifices, I would say the biggest are kind of choosing like which events to do, what events to do rather than some others. I guess also we're missing class, and that's a sacrifice that the student council has to make. And it's really important that our student council members are kept up with everything, and the class that they do make, they're able to make up. Yeah, so I really hope that we can kind of foster just a school spirit that's a little bit more excited and a lot more enthusiastic. about being here. And I really am excited to kind of see how the students react to all the things that we're doing and how they can kind of interact with each other and engage in the material that we're kind of giving them and stuff that they can do.
Next, I asked Ethan how he felt about the school community here at Hempfield.
Yeah, so I think community at Hempfield recently has been super, super strong. And I think since COVID has been kind of a few years ago now, people are really becoming comfortable with like interacting and just like having a good time. And I really kind of owe it all to the student body, being open to trying new things and really being excited about kind of putting themselves out there. So I think the community in that sense has been really, really awesome. Especially this year, we've been able to do a whole bunch of really awesome new things that we haven't been able to do like the past years. So I think the community here is awesome.
Now, following what I had just asked Ethan, I asked Dr. Huff, the student council advisor, some similar questions about school community.
I think that school spirit is incredibly important. I think that even though we are a very big school, it is still important for us to have, great pride in being Hempfield Black Knights. And so we are trying to do some activities to build up that school spirit so that kids really love coming to school and they have fun with some of the events that we have planned. So pep rallies, I think, are kind of like a staple of your high school experience. So we're trying to give students a really fun chance to come together as one big community, to play some games together, to have some very friendly competitions with each other, and at the end of the day, just to kind of enjoy being together as a Hempfield family. I think having community is important because if students feel welcome here and if they feel safe here, then they really want to come to school. So if we can create that culture where everyone feels seen, then it makes Hempfield a place where everybody wants to be.
Don't forget to be kind and give someone a compliment today. For Studio 7, I'm Arlo Entefon.
So yeah, we really enjoy those pep rallies. The second one was kind of unplanned, but we kind of planned it mid-school year because how much everyone really truly loved the first pep rally. Next, I want to talk about our Lancaster SUCO Leadership Summit. This is the second annual one. We were so fortunate to be able to host it here at Hempfield. We had a great time. Last year, it was just us, Ephrata, and CV. And this year, we included some more, including Township, Warwick, and Penn Manor. So we ultimately just got together, shared some ideas, had some great chats, including a talk from Mr. Romirski, Mr. Williams, Mr. Sensor, and Coach Walk. We were so fortunate to be able to hear from them. And we also just want to say thank you to you guys. As we were talking to these student councils, we learned how fortunate we were to be able to have a voice on our school board. Not everybody does. So we just want to really appreciate you and all that you do for us and all that you allow us to do at the school. So that was our Lancaster SUCO Summit. And some ideas that we have for next year are including the district in our homecoming parade. Like I talked about previously, the student staff movie, Sunrise on the Reaping, and also some senior events. We talked about it a little bit this year, especially during our Kindness Week doing some things, but we kind of want to implement that more next year, including the senior salute, senior walk at homecoming, and senior Hall of Fame. And now our advisor, Dr. Huff, has a few words.
My name is Kate Huff. I've been an English teacher at Hempfield High School for 22 years. I'm also one of the student council advisors with Zahid Fermani, and as you can tell, he despises doing the Studio 7 features. He doesn't like being on TV, so I'm the one that gets stuck doing those. As one of the advisors, it's truly my privilege to reflect on what I feel has been a really incredible year for our students. So this year, we embraced a very simple but powerful theme, try new things. And they didn't just talk about it, the students actually made it happen. So our students stepped outside their comfort zones, they took risks, and they worked really hard to make fresh ideas come to life. They introduced new events like First Friday, as they mentioned, and Random Acts of Kindness Week to explore creative ways of building school spirit. And then they also found meaningful ways of engaging with their peers when they had the Student Council Leadership Summit. At the same time, they honored and continued traditions like homecoming and the variety show that make our student council and our school community so special. So the balance of innovation and tradition is not easy to achieve, but they did it with enthusiasm and with purpose. But what stands out to me the most is not what they accomplished, but why they did it. These students are deeply committed to making our school a better place. They show up early, they stay late, and they consistently put the needs of others ahead of themselves. They really care about inclusion, about school pride, and about creating an environment where every single student feels seen and valued. That kind of dedication can't be taught. It comes from who they are as people. Their dedication also comes from feeling that they're valued members of this community, so I would like to take a moment to thank the board, the district administration, and the high school administration for listening to our students and truly hearing them, because it's had a lasting impact. Inviting student voices into your meetings and actually coming to their meetings, it sends a powerful message that their ideas matter and that they're an important part of this community. So as we learned at the Leadership Summit with the other high schools on April 24th, the authentic engagement the students have with you is rare, and it does not go unnoticed. So because of your support and the support of Dr. Brossman and the high school principals, our students feel empowered, they feel respected, and they feel inspired to lead. Mr. Vermonti and I are so proud to serve as the advisors for this group. It is an honor to work alongside such thoughtful, driven, and compassionate young people, and it is equally an honor to do so with the support of a board and administration that clearly believes in them. Thank you for giving our students a voice, for supporting their efforts, and for helping us to continue to build a school community that we can all be proud of.
So before they respond, just as the building principal, that was awesome. I felt like it was a highlight reel for the whole year. Like if you just showed up to Hempfield, like you just experienced 25, 26. Like that was awesome. This is an incredible group of young men and women, and they've really taken our vision for building a school that people are excited to be a part of to heart and making that vision come true. And the great part about getting to be a high school principal is, helping to build up leaders. And if you want to build leaders, you have to give them a chance to lead. And this group really steps up and leads. Trying to not get too emotional up here, but I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you so much. And we're really blessed with this group. So thank you all.
I do just want to thank you. I'm so proud of all of you, and also past student council, students, leaders, the advisors. What you do makes a significant difference, and it was an honor to be able to be asked to, but also to speak at the summit that you helped organize and host. I was there with Mr. Williams. The positive energy, your passion, your desire to not only want to do great things here at Hempfield, but also help others be able to experience and do the things you get to do. It was amazing to see. It was the other students, the constant message I was hearing as I kind of walked around a little bit is like, wow, like how do we get to do that? And I think Dr. Huff said it, and we've talked about it here from a board standpoint, and you value hearing from the students, and that's important. And yes, you have to ultimately make the decisions, but knowing that that is another voice to hear from is critical. And I look forward to the great things you're going to continue to do, and we're also thankful and proud of the work you're doing. And on behalf of the district, thank you for being outstanding role models and advocates for yourself and leaders in the district. You represent the district very well. So thank you so much.
And I just need to say, wow, I'm just so impressed with all of you and with your advisors and Mr. Brossman as well. It's like it takes the village, and you're all creating that culture. And I love that phrase that you've come up with. And I might steal it. But I think that is so important, and it took me back to missing my teaching days a lot, but not enough to go back. But no, it was just, I remember those days of pep rallies and all of that, and that's what makes high school so special, so thank you for taking the time to do all of that.
Yeah, thank you for the recap, and it's amazing to see how much this club has grown in the last 4 years. When I was a member of student council, and I've had the opportunity since I've been on the board to attend a couple of your events, and thank you for inviting me to the Student Council Summit. It was great to hear from so many of our students and from students around the county. And I look forward, and I know we as a board do look forward to engaging with you more. And I also hope that you guys will reach out to us, hold us accountable, and share your informed perspectives with us. And I also want to thank Dr. Huff and Mr. Vermani, incredible student council advisors, and Dr. Brossman and Mr. Bremersky, because a lot of the behind-the-scenes work involves them, and really their contributions really help make the things that we just saw happen. So thank you all.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you all so much.
Great work. And look forward to working with the next group for the 26-27 school year. So, outstanding. Thank you.
All right, now we have to do the more boring things. We are at number 3 in our agenda for tonight, board approvals. And beforehand, does anybody have a need to amend our agenda for tonight with any additions or deletions?
Ms. Brady, from the administration side, we are requesting a motion to amend the agenda to add other action items 13I, which is the legal agreement, approval of the waivers and releases in the written agreement between Hempfield School District, student number 2028084, and the student's parents. This was something that was sent to you last week. It was our oversight in getting it onto the agenda. And so we are asking for that to be added. From a sunshine standpoint, we are perfectly able to do this given it's an agreement, and you've had the ability to see it in advance, and it was just an oversight on our part, and you can add things to the agenda as long as there's a willingness of the board to do that. So that's the request.
Okay, thank you. Any other needs for additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
So which enumerated exception under the Sunshine Act is this covered by?
That the board has the ability to add to the agenda as long as the board is willing to add it and this public has the opportunity to speak on it.
Good, thank you.
Good.
Yep.
All right, so with that addition of 13I, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do I need a motion to add 13I? Do I have a motion to add 13I to tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Linton. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of adding item 13I, the legal agreement, to our agenda this evening? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Best says nay. That carries 8-1.
And Mrs. Brady, to be clear, we will still be voting on it.
On the item.
Yes.
The vote on the item will come later. Yep, that was just to add it to the agenda.
And sorry, just to clarify, I don't know why my mic's not working, but there it is. I'm not objecting to the item itself. I just don't want this to become common practice to be making last-minute additions to the agenda.
Understood. All right, and now I do need a motion with that addition to approve the entire agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. A second?
I'll second.
Who was that? Mr. Wagner? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That one carries 9-0. Moving on, we have the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented for the regular board meeting held on April 28th and the Buildings and Grounds and Finance Committee meetings held also on April 28th?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Small.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's 9-0. I don't believe we have any residents' comments, but given the addition to the agenda, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you and good evening. Wanted to give a few updates regarding the high school project. As I shared with you at our last meeting, the DEP still has the land development. I am hopeful to get an update. I was hopeful to have an update prior to tonight, but the individual that we've been able to connect with is out this week and will not be back in the office until Monday, but we do have confirmation they have it. We are hopeful that that will be a quick or expedited review of our land development plan to be able to get back so we can keep things moving. In addition, I shared with you that we had previously needed to try again with the traffic submission with the township. That submission did go in, however, we received word late last week that submission was not approved by the township's traffic engineer. We have had subsequent meetings regarding kind of the why, trying to understand, and some discussions regarding that. We had a meeting this morning, and we were able to get some clarity on some of the issues. One of the bigger issues surrounding the arrival of the buses, parent drop-off, students, staff in the morning, and we engaged in some dialogue to try and to identify some solutions. What really came back was that the traffic team with ELA needs to go back and work on alternative options, run calculations, and see what's going to work or not work. We then had a meeting this afternoon that was what I would say was relatively productive, in that we have some options that the ELA team is going to be reviewing, calculating. We have a follow-up meeting coming up next Monday on a larger scale with our design team to be able to see, do those options that we came up with work from a standpoint of the numbers, the calculations, the PennDOT requirements, et cetera. If it does, we'll be able to have some follow-up with the township to see if some of those are acceptable. It was certainly disappointing and frustrating to hear that things were not approved because we are kind of getting to a crunch time with regards to the project, getting things out to bid and getting started. We do have two of the team members from ELA here tonight. Hugh and Mark, I invite you to come on up. I asked them to be here tonight to be able to talk about what they're doing, what they're going to be working on, but before they jump into that, I think it's important for the board to hear directly from them about their commitment to this project and making sure that this remains a top priority for ELA, and that we do everything at all possible to move whatever rocks and stones would need to be moved, so that the next submission that will go in probably in about 2 weeks will be reviewed and accepted by the township on June 4th, which allows us to then get to the Planning Commission meeting in June and the subsequent supervisors meeting later in June, so we can get this out to bid and hopefully work started in August. So with that, I'll turn it over to Hugh and Mark to address the traffic reports.
As Dr. Berminski had indicated, we had a meeting with the township today, which kind of clarifying some of their concerns, which is primarily in the morning with the stacking of the parent drop-off. And so that was too lengthy in their opinion. So what the meeting today at 1 o'clock that Mark participated in was to go over some options to kind of not realign, but reorganize the traffic. If you want to get to trying to indicate what was done.
Sure. The meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we discussed some options to eliminate traffic conflicts so that we don't have traffic exiting, crossing traffic that's entering, try to separate those traffic flows. And the primary option that we discussed this afternoon was to flip the locations of the student parking and the staff parking and the parent drop-off loop that goes along with the staff parking lot. That's going to allow us to better separate traffic flows, and that's conceptually it's better than our last option. Now we need to go and run the numbers and make sure the numbers are going to meet the township's ordinance requirements.
And currently, right now, the intersection of Church and Bank do not meet what they call warrants for a traffic signal, and there are other options available than with PennDOT that we would have to, Mark is aware of, and would have to reach out to the PennDOT Central. But for now, currently, as it goes with the volume of traffic and the speed of traffic, some of the warrants, there's 8 different warrants that can be met. The one that would normally apply does not apply here.
And then with regards to this being a top priority for ELA.
It is a top priority. We have at least 2 minimum staff working on it. There's also some, my understanding is to take a look at some but widening some drives and things like that, which I'm going to go home tonight and take a look at that and see what we can do there. I think that right now, I think it currently is doable, just based off the current size. So we have an indication of what direction to go now. Now we can calculate and proceed.
And I know one of the questions from earlier was with the change or the flip of the parking lots, did you get an answer, Mark, with regards to the potential impact of land development, given it's the same footprint, just shifting where the sidewalks are?
So I explained to Mark, if the impervious surfaces are similar or less, then that shouldn't have an impact with the stormwater.
Board members, questions?
Yeah,
Go ahead,
so
Mr.
I
Keating.
guess, I mean, all this sounds very much like normal construction things, right? Like traffic counts and circulation patterns and parking lots. My question is, why are we doing this now? And Mr. Cadso, you were here several months ago, and the board and you have a very frank conversation around, I think, what the district widely perceives as ELA's failure to manage this process correctly. And I think I speak for multiple people when I say how disappointing it is that despite that conversation, it appears that these issues have not abated. And while I'm delighted to hear that you now have 2 employees working on this, I'm sort of surprised that we didn't have 24 employees working on this 6 months ago. And I'd like to hear very candidly where that train jumped the tracks and why.
When it comes to the stormwater and land development plan, we've had multiple staff working on it to maintain the timeline as best as possible with that. The traffic report, with the fact of bringing, is proven to be somewhat difficult because the amount of vehicles being brought out front to where they currently don't exist. And the analysis that has been going on has proven to be, I guess, difficult, the best way to say it. So that's why there were some changes from the very get-go. There were certain ways things were laid out that was desired by the district and tried to make those work. But based off of our discussions today, which we had, was that per the township, and the fact that the warrant isn't met for that signal. The warrant for a traffic signal there impacts what the design is on the site. If there was a warrant that was met, then traffic could go a certain way. That was not met, so therefore it forced the situation of this stacking. And now with that, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, my understanding with that, once that was found out that the warrants weren't met, now, okay, we have to step back and see what we can do with the internal realignment with the parents drop-off, which that meeting today was a step in the right direction to correct that, address that, I should say.
And were these issues not foreseeable?
So with this project, we're increasing the capacity of the school, which is theoretically increasing the traffic coming to and from the school. Right now, the parent traffic and the student traffic is separated. We're concentrating that all onto Bank Street and Stanley Street. We are taking the student traffic off of Kaufman Road, which has a traffic signal at Church Street, moving it up to Stanley and Bank to a location that does not have a traffic signal. And we're also moving the location that this traffic is entering and exiting the parking lots closer to the Church Street, which is giving us less room to work with. All 4 of those things are working against us to make it work. We've been working to try to make the preferred layout work, and it just, because of those 4 things, it just doesn't work. So I became involved in the process halfway through. I had somewhat of a misunderstanding of how flexible we are with relocating different areas as far as the student, the staff parking, those types of things. We had a really good discussion this afternoon and came up with better options to reallocate those resources and work towards a solution that will work both for the district and for the township.
So, sorry. First, a question. Is there any reason we can't put a traffic light there? Wouldn't that just solve a lot of these problems?
It would. The reason it can't is because it doesn't meet the PennDOT traffic signal warrants.
So they won't allow us to put a traffic signal unless we meet certain requirements?
Correct. There are, I will say, 3 typical warrants that we normally would like to meet. There are several other, I would call those more kind of outlier type warrants. We do meet one of those, but it's one that I've never used it. I have not been able to talk to anyone that has used it. We do have a call into PennDOT to try to determine if that can be used in this case. But that requires PennDOT central office approval rather than the typical local district approval. So we are working that angle. It's just something that nobody I've talked to has used before.
Is there never a consideration of what traffic will be as opposed to what it currently is, like any, predictive models? Because I'm assuming that we will have more traffic given the changes. We have to go with the information as it is current, not predictive.
Well, the way the traffic study works is we count the current traffic. We know how much traffic is entering and exiting all the school driveways. So what we've done is, in the future, that's going to look different, right? So we take all that existing traffic off, and then we add it back in with the new parking lot configurations. So every time we change configurations, we got to redo that before we analyze how the intersections are working. So every time something like that changes, it's a redo of the study.
Mrs. Eshelman, you had a question?
I guess from what I heard, even if we don't meet those warrants, I would want you to explore every route with PennDOT possible, because those are other options. I know you said about widening things. I want you to have all 10 options ready for the next time this happens versus waiting for someone to say that doesn't work. I think I'm a pre-planner and I like to anticipate any issues and anything that will arise, and I hope that going forward will happen and thoroughly with almost every option and options not even thought of, so that we don't have to backtrack so much every time. I guess that's what I heard, and that's my feeling. So that's
Understood.
my task to you, I guess.
Do any other board members have comments before I go?
I have some more.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
To say that I'm disappointed would be an understatement. To Mr. Keener's point, how was this not foreseen? We've known about this layout for over a year now, right? I sat in the audience listening to KCBA present the new traffic layout, and I was like, oh, that makes total sense, right? That's going to make things so much nicer, right? Why was a traffic study not done from that date? Why was all of this not being preemptive, right? You knew the AHJ would need to review this. And following that, when the AHJ gives you instruction on what is not meeting code, why is that not being done, right? When I have an inspector come to me and say, you need egress in these locations, I may not like it, but you know what? I'm damn well going to put that egress point there because there's no way I'm getting a building permit otherwise. So how is it that when we were reaming you guys the last time you were here, and the traffic engineer from the township gave you guidance on what needed to change, how is it that on your next submittal, those items were still not resolved?
like I said, it was partially a misunderstanding on my part as to how flexible the comprehensive layout of all the different areas were. I was trying to make the layout that we had work, and it does not.
And in my mind, that should have been raised 6 months ago, or whenever you first discovered that. It should have been like a call to KCBA and Mr. Bermirsky and saying like, hey, we need to come up with a solution because this isn't going to work.
And Mr. Best, that's been a challenge for us because we've been working on this on the traffic side for over a year, and that was something we've talked about, that we have not heard that this isn't going to work. And what Mark just shared was kind of the big aha from the end of last week into today, that they were trying to make it work but not sharing it wasn't working. And that was a big disconnect on their part. And what we shared with them is this is not, while we're a team on this, they need to be leading this process because they are the experts in this field. We are not.
Yeah.
And they know what can work and not work through calculations, and we need to hear that. And that was relayed to them very clearly last week and then again today, that they don't need to come to us to say, let's what about this option or what about this option? They need to run with it and come up with as many options that work, and then we can prioritize and say, hey, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. Because one thing we heard from the township today was, it's not about putting in all of these options, it's putting in recommendations of, because of this impact, here's what we can do. Because of this, here's what we can do. And that's what we need to see, and we haven't been seeing it. So we were very clear with that, and I want it known tonight that we expect that that's what's going to happen, that you will relay that this doesn't work, but here's something that will. And it can't just be us sitting around the table just trying to move some pieces around and say, what about this, what about this, what about this, in the 11th hour. And we have a very limited window now to get this done, and that's what they're tasked with, is to get this across the finish line.
And I will say, I still have some concerns right now, hearing you talk about the traffic light, because when I sat in on that meeting this morning, I heard Township saying the traffic light doesn't fix the circulation problem in the morning, and I'm still hearing something different from your explanations about if there was a traffic light, it would change things. So that's my first point. Secondly, this has been publicized to the entire community for over a year now, and the entire community is waiting for this and is watching and knows that if this gets postponed any further, prices go up for everybody. The plans of transitions for classrooms and what we're doing with the current high school and the 3-4 years following all get bumped, and it affects so much more than the first day the shovel goes in the ground. So you are impacting literally thousands of people by not getting this right. And the frustration, I think I can assume you feel our frustration. I hope I can assume that. But we've got to get it right by June. We cannot not get it right by June. So if that means calling every day and asking questions you have, or getting clarifications, or whatever it takes, this has to be done by the beginning of June, and it has to be done right.
And Mrs. Brady, to that point, we have reiterated to the ELA team that they know how to get a hold of us, and so we will clear our calendars and get the right people around the table, give them the information. We just need to hear from them to make that happen, as evidenced today. And that will continue, and I know I will be leaving shortly and be out the rest of the week. But my team knows that, and they know how to get a hold of them, so that if there's a question or a discussion, that they will all be on that call and getting that done.
Others? Sorry to keep harping, but I just, you tried to find a way to make it work, and that's good, but I feel like at this point, if there's even a single doubt that there's going to be a roadblock, raise the flag. We need to know immediately, that day, that hour, right? Because we cannot continue to keep kicking this down the road. We're way past that date. If you had told us however long ago when you thought, yeah, we're having some struggles, we're still going to try and work it out, great, at least we would have had a heads up. But all of a sudden to hear from the township like, no, this is not even close to being ready, was severely disappointing. And then more of a question to Mr. Bremirski. If we can't get this on June, is there a way to separate the baseball field project and start running with that so that we can at least get the field going and then try and figure out what we're doing with the expansion?
Yep. So a couple pieces to that. Tonight you will actually be approving information or things around the PAC. We've already separated that piece out. We will be coming back to you with a separate bid now because we are pulling out the second phase of the PAC work because we were going to wrap that into the high school project, but because of the timing and the delay on the traffic, we don't know if that's going to be enough time. So we don't want to risk not having not only the contractors, but the materials that are needed to finish the PAC project. So we are going to bid that separately. So we'll be getting information out once those bids go out. They're working through that process right now. From the baseball field, softball field work, we cannot do any work on any of the projects except the PAC until we hear back from the DEP. If the DEP comes in this month and says, look, this is all great, Conservation District's good to go, then we will go to the township and petition the township to pull out the baseball field work because it's outside, it's not impacting traffic, it's not impacting the high school, to get started on the baseball and softball field projects, as well as potentially, if we can, the band lot, the maintenance building, some of the pieces that would be south of Kaufman, but that's going to be up to the township to decide how far they would be willing to go. I'm hopeful, at least on the field-wise, we can get that done. If we cannot, then we will miss the window if we do not get, at this point, seed in by the summer, sod in by the fall, to have that field ready in the spring of 27. So therefore, we would not be able to do anything unless we found another field. We are in the process of working through that. We have some options, some kind of things in our back pocket, but I don't want to use them because that's not fair to our players. And so we're hoping that this can get done. And we're hoping that the ELA team will show the commitment to this project on the transportation side and put not only the 2 people, but any and all, and bring in other resources to help mark as needed, that this project is their priority and that they get this done and across the finish line with a township approval or traffic approval by June 4th.
Any last comments? All right, thank you, gentlemen. Did you have anything else?
The only other pieces that I have, just a reminder, we did put in Board News, we have our CTC recognition event starting at 4:30 on May 26th. If you're able to attend, please let Ms. Rhodes know. Graduation then follows beginning at 6:30. The calendar of events, there are still some concerts coming up, as well as some additional building events. If you are interested in getting to any of those, I know there's some field days coming up. The 6th grade field day is Friday. That's a great event to see all the 6th graders coming together for the first time as a full class that will be transitioning then to the middle schools for a slight split, then back at the high school. So that's a great event coming up. And then you also have, just a reminder, it's not on here, but we will be just keeping the reminders out as a board. We'll be meeting on June 11th for a board retreat. We'll be getting that information in board news to you and keeping it on the calendar here. And then you have the enrollment report attached. Any other questions for me?
All right, I'll move on to my president's report. It's been a very busy couple of weeks. Several of us joined Mr. Bremirski last Monday in Harrisburg for the PSBA Advocacy Day. We were able to meet with Representative Rivera and Miller and Senator Malone to advocate for school funding. That was Megan, Aaron, and myself that attended that, which was very interesting, eye-opening, and educational, if we add a third adjective there. We presented the resolution that we passed at the last meeting as well. Later, Tuesday, I believe it was, the 5th, Megan, Kate, Aaron, Justin, Grant, and I were at the Black Knight Awards and Retirement Banquet to celebrate the Black Knight Award winners and all of our retirees, and that was a lovely event. On the 7th, Megan, Kate, and I attended the Federal Titles Stakeholders Meeting. For me, it was more of an educational. I know Megan and Kate sit on the Education Committee that took part in that, and I just needed to learn more about the Federal Titles Program, so I was happy to be there. We then attended, Megan and I were at the LPC Cultural Day on the 7th, which was a really fun event to see. And then I personally had the joy of attending my grandchild's preschool lab graduation over at the high school on Friday, and that brought back lots of memories because that used to be my class that I taught, and now to see my grandchild go through the program was very nice to enjoy that. And then again, the Township Fidavia ELA meeting this morning. So lots going on, and it only gets going more in the next couple of weeks with all that happens at the end of the year. We'll move to the adjunct reports, representative adjunct reports. Mr. Keener for the CTC.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. The JOC, the Joint Operating Committee, met on April 23rd at Brownstown. A couple of the highlights, one of our own students, Layla Pitts, was a winner of the Skills USA competition. Miss Pitts is a student in the Heavy Equipment Operations and Basic Maintenance program. So congratulations to Miss Pitts and her family. They did a quick presentation on the NOCTI results. NOCTI is essentially the competency exam that career and technical students take to establish a baseline, kind of a baseline level of proficiency. Willow Street and Brownstown were both at 96%, Mount Joy 89%, all three are exceptional. Mount Joy is slightly lower because they house, and I don't have it in my notes, but one of the most notoriously difficult programs. I think it's the electronics adjacent.
Is
that
it
has
the
a notoriously
electrotechnical?
low- Which one?
Is it electrotechnical?
Yes.
Yeah, so that has a pass score, I think it's in the high 80s, and most of the others are in like the 60s for a pass
Yes.
score. I actually had the privilege to be one of the judges for that this year, so.
Yeah. Thank you, but I appreciate that, Mr. Best. But the takeaway is all three campuses are doing a terrific job. And then last Wednesday was the annual Wednesday and Thursday was the annual Fly on the Run fundraiser. That is the big fundraiser for the foundation. Usually raises around $150,000. They do a reception, banquet, and auction Wednesday night up at Mount Joy. It is a lot of fun. I went, had a good time, as I always do. And then Thursday was the fly fishing tournament up at the Mill Creek. Yeah, and so they were up there. That went very well. Next meeting will be May 28th at Mount Joy.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the Hempfield Rec Center. Mr. Wagner or Mr. Williams?
Nothing new to report.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
just falls off schedule. huh?
Our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 27th at 5 p.m.
Correct.
Okay.
Well said, Mr. Williams, indeed.
And talk to me if we need to readjust the meetings at which you report, if it works better on a different cadence.
We could do
Just
that.
look
Yeah,
into it, let me
yeah.
know.
These days we're meeting every month. So I would say the first meeting, our first board meeting,
First
we
board
can probably
meeting,
give you
Which is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so
Just stick with it.
I think we're
Okay,
all right. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's see, moving on to standing committees, buildings and grounds. We saw 2 weeks ago, we had a presentation from Gallagher, formerly Murray Insurance, on builder's risk, and a presentation to describe what we would need and what the differences are with OSIP coverage. KCBA, Fidavia, and more did a presentation on the scope of the project and the bids for the PAC as Mr. Ramirski was talking about, that breakout project for the electrical upgrades and the pre-purchase of equipment from Trane. We approved the proposal from Trane for the pre-purchase. We'll be voting on that later tonight. And then we will vote to approve the Farfield contract tonight for the electrical work. Mrs. James also presented the final bid information on our playground projects at Farmdale East Pete, LIC, and then some work on pavement markings at Centerville. We will vote on that bid approval tonight as well. And we approved bids for required soil testing related to the high school project. Next, we have Mr. Wagner for Finance.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. So the Finance Committee meeting was held on the exact same night following the Buildings and Grounds. And so at that meeting, we had a budget update from Mrs. Hall, who presented an overall budget update, including a budget overview, revenue overview and updates, expenditure overview and updates, Act 1 index forecasts, as well as historic tax increases in the district, as well as discussion of millage rates and budgetary reserve information. Our next steps would be determining what the tax increase will be for the upcoming year, 26-27. And you'll see on the agenda this evening that we have displayed and advertised the final budget, or at least to display and advertise what the final budget would be. You'll see it on the evening on the agenda for this evening. We'll be adopting that final budget on the June 9th regular board meeting. Additionally, we had a presentation from Ms. Marchese with respect to the RFP for auditing services. There was a recommendation made for Boyer and Ritter. You'll see that on the agenda for this evening as well for a 3-year contract. So we'll need to look to approve that this evening, as well as a host of additional contracts that are scheduled for approval tonight as well. Next meeting will be on Thursday, the 28th of May.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9 on the agenda is our personnel action items. Put my glasses on. I need a motion to approve personnel action items 9A, 1 through 9 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 9-0. Next on the agenda is a motion to accept the proposal for the playground. This is a Buildings and Grounds action item, accepting the bid approval from SLC Excavating for the playground projects at Centerville, East Pete, Farmdale, Landisville, and Landisville Intermediate and Landisville Primary Center. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Thank you, Mrs. Eshelman. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Keener, okay, that is 8-1. We move on to finance action items. Let's make sure we've got all of these together here. Just action item A, motion to approve the contracts as listed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Second?
Second.
Mr. Williams? Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 9-0. We move on to approval of finance action items C and D. C is the proposed 26-27 final budget. D is the resolution for the proposed final budget to display and advertise. Is there a motion?
Point of information first.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Go ahead.
Right now, regardless of how we vote on this, the actual vote on the budget will not occur until when?
June 9th.
June 9th.
When is that?
June 9th.
June 9th. So there will be an opportunity to amend potentially any of the information in the final budget at that meeting, correct?
That's my understanding. Mrs. Hall?
Pardon me?
I said we will talk about it in the committee meeting this month again, and then June 9th we'll approve the final budget. This is just the proposed budget because we need to put something out for
Okay,
inspection.
so this does nothing but
This-
fulfill our obligation to
Yes,
post?
exactly.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, so is there a motion to, I think I lost my place here, to approve the proposed 2026 final budget proposal to adopt, let me re-say that, approval to adopt the 26-27 proposed version of the final budget, as well as approval of the resolution authorizing the display and advertising of the 2026-27 proposed final budget.
So moved.
Thank you, Director Linton. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that is 9-0. And we move on to policy action items. Second reading of board policies. We have Policy 106, Guides for Planned Instruction, Policy 107, Adoption of Planned Instruction, 110, Instructional Supplies, 112, School Counseling, 140, Charter Schools, and 221, Dress and Grooming. We're looking for a motion to approve the second reading of these board policies as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 9-0. Moving on to item 13, other action items. This would be approval of other action items B through I. We were incorporating item I, the legal agreement,
I
that
would
we
like to
added to the
request-
agenda.
I'd like to request that I be voted upon separately.
Is there any discussion on that? Okay, we can pull that out. Okay, so we will be doing approval of other action items B through H only, and we will do I separately. Do I have a motion to approve action items B through H as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Eshelman. Any discussion on items B through H? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's 9-0. Yes, thank you for all your work.
Yes, thank you.
And we're moving on. We just approved her as the assistant school board
And he's
secretary
like
as part of that. And yes, and the tax board treasurer over there. It's all official now. Okay, last thing on our agenda is item 13I, the legal agreement. I need a motion to approve the legal agreement, approval of the waivers and releases in the written agreement between Hempfield School District, student 2028-0084, and the student's parents. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Director Linton. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Best. There shouldn't be much discussion, but I guess I have to ask for discussion. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Keener's no. That would be an 8-0, or excuse me, an 8-1. And that being the last item on the regular board meeting agenda, is there a motion to adjourn this
So moved.
meeting? Thank you, Mr. Wagner. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Linton. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one carries 9-0. Why don't we just take about a 5-minute break, and then we will reconvene or regather to call the Education Programs Policy, Personnel, and Legal meeting to order. So 7:35.
the really long meeting, education, policy, everything we do. Mr. Graham, is anyone online yet? No. Okay, let me know when they are. All right, first item of business is I need a motion to remove from the table the agenda item 4G from the April 14th meeting about policy 818.
So moved.
Thank you, Makai. Second?
Second.
Judy. All right, and all those in favor, so we can then put it on tonight. It's on tonight's agenda to discuss it. Please say aye.
Aye.
So that passes 8-0 because Caleb isn't here. Perfect. We have no residents' requests to address the board. We have an artificial intelligence showcase, but I want to take 1 minute to do something else too. I'm so sorry. I just want to be transparent and let people know and give some recognition. School directors Kate, Aaron, and myself were able to attend the annual PSLA conference April 16th through the 18th. That's the Pennsylvania School Librarians Association. We were so impressed by the collective knowledge of school librarians across the state, especially our own librarians here at Hempfield. Many presented sessions throughout the conference. I know Sarah was there and she was worried no one would attend her conference. And then her session, I took a picture of people like bleeding out into the hallways. We were incredibly proud to be there, lucky to be there to support them and learn with them. Other attendees, we often were met with surprise from other attendees to see school board members attending their professional conference. They thought we were like unicorns. They're like, what? School board members supporting libraries? But of course, again, we were fortunate to be there and have such great school libraries and librarians throughout our district. What they do for our schools, our students, our staff, we appreciate. And then although April was like School Library Month, we just wanted to say that now, and thank you for everything. And now you're here for the AI presentation too, and everybody else. So thank you for all you do. And Dr. Dandridge.
Thank you, Senator. So as you know, here at Hempfield, we have been engaging in a very deliberate approach to adopting artificial intelligence in the district. Last year, we identified the need for a board policy to kind of guide our implementation, give some of those guardrails to the staff as they were implementing AI. And we approved that policy. At the same time, you also asked us to come back multiple times this year and give updates as how it was going and see if any changes would be needed. This fall, we came and gave a first presentation on some of the tools we're using, some of the procedures that we put in place this school year, as well as a pilot that we were starting with a tool called Magic School. Tonight's presentation is all about the implementation of those policies and procedures. As you can see, we have a dream team up here of teachers to talk about the many different ways that we are using AI across the district at all levels. So they're going to share some of their direct experiences for you tonight. We will be coming back again next month to talk about the Magic School pilot that we did, some of the tools that we've been using this year, and recommendations for the future and next year. Needless to say, AI is an ever-evolving space. We are going to continue to need to be nimble as we approach our practices in the district. We appreciate your support. But without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to the experts here to share how it's been going this year.
All right, so as I mentioned last time we were here, Jeremy Paul and Jason Hoffman and I have been working with Sarah Sue, Rayanne, and Mitch on a little integration committee to look at and create our guidelines and make sense of the policy and put that policy into practice. So when we are thinking about AI integration, we're thinking about these goals in mind. How do we get our students to become active users of technology rather than passive consumers? How do we use AI as a way to decrease the digital divide, how we're using it in the schools? We're looking to empower our educators to use these tools in ways that help us differentiate instruction for our students, and also to save time in the creation of our resources and curriculum and assessment that we're building. And then finally, to be thinking about how are we constantly preparing our students for what comes next after school. So those goals kind of frame all the work that we're doing. And we've already shared with you can go to the next slide, Mike, our levels that we took from the board policy and then put, thanks so much in part to Sue and Rayanne, into kid-friendly language. These are now posted in every room in the school district, and we've been using them quite a bit to help guide students in understanding in a kid-friendly way when it's okay to use AI and what citations have to be done. So as we go through the showcase today, you're going to see on the top of every slide a picture of this scale with an arrow telling you whether they are at level 2, 3, 4, where they are as they're using it with their classroom. So I gave you each a copy just so that you would have it for easy reference, because you'll see on the slides it's tiny, but it'll make sense to you as you hear them describe all of the incredible things that they're doing in their classrooms with AI. And some of the tools that you'll hear about from them, some of them will talk to you about using Google Gemini, some are talking about Magic School, and some may be talking about some of the other embedded AI in tools that we already have, such as Canva. And that will lead us into our first presenter. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ashley Moyer. I'm a third grade teacher at Mountville Elementary, and I was able to do Magic School with my students to help them brainstorm for one of their focusing question tasks for ELA. In Module 3, we learn about immigrants coming to the United States through Ellis Island. So what I had set up was a chatbot that was the same as them talking to an immigrant. So they had an interview experience with an immigrant, and they were able to ask questions like, why did you leave your country? What was your journey like? My students were asking questions like, well, which part of the boat were you on when you came over? Because they learned about some people had to be in the steerage and some people were up on the upper deck, depending on how much money they had on their journey over. And then kids were asking whether or not their family members got sick or if they got sick, and then in Ellis Island, if they had to be taken away from their family. So this was a very short activity for them, but it was a really great opportunity for them to not only share what they knew with Magic AI, but then they were able to then get some ideas for what they had to do in their focusing question task, which was to write a letter. One thing that I appreciated was my students who aren't on a third grade reading level, everything was able to be read out loud to them, and they could also use voice to text so that everyone was able to access the same things. And then I also appreciate as a district that we're moving towards a more comprehensive AI usage, because I've been able to take a lot of courses through Millersville University on AI in education, and I appreciate the direction we're going.
Hi, my name is Kayla Vogel, and I teach third grade at Rohrerstown. Recently, I learned how to use Canva AI for coding at a P&C conference in Hershey. So in Canva, you'll select Canva AI and then coding, and you'll type what you want it to code. And I've been exploring using it to create games for my students. So I use a script that AI created, and then I just adjusted each item that was coded. You can test it out and see what you like and what you don't like. The game I have up there is on area and perimeter, which was something my students recently were practicing. Each level of the game has a different focus. So one level was perimeter area, then I had it mixed, and then I had a missing side. So they had to figure out if they were given the perimeter, what the other side was. But you can adjust your game as you're playing. There's a way to just kind of talk back and forth with the Canva AI. And I had it add labels. I had it adjust the side lengths to match the number, because some of my students were saying it was showing 7, but that was the smaller side. So I made some adjustments that they suggested as well. And then I also had some of the questions open-ended instead of multiple choice. And then for the end of this one, you'll see the analytical results that they can see their progress at the end to see their skill mastery with the concept.
And I'm Sydney Schoaf. I am Kayla's student teacher. Well, was. I just graduated, but I was the past year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So we made a lot of different games to practice our math concepts. So that's what we kind of started with once Kayla came back from the conference and we learned about this. But I wanted to explore how it can be used to make other educational resources. So I made our social studies curriculum uses the textbook to teach about natural disasters and safety protocols around them. But I wanted to expand on that content in the text by creating a jigsaw activity where students will be in groups and learn about one natural disaster, create posters, and then teach their classmates about it. And I wanted them to be able to do research regarding the natural disasters, but not having them access all the information on the internet. So I used Canva AI to give it a prompt for it to code a website where it talked about what the natural disaster was, a cool fact, how to be safe from it, and then just like for my bonus early finishers, a real life example of the natural disaster in real life. And this just was able to give them accurate, on-topic, age-appropriate information about what we were researching without giving them access to the entire internet, which I thought was a cool way to use Canva AI.
And then a way that we've been having, sorry, I have one more thing just to share. Recently, I let my students create their own games. At the end of the year, we create our own math board games, and this year I decided to try it with Canva AI and let them design their own games. So I gave them 3 different topics that they could choose from. That was a math concept we did this year. And then I gave them the verbiage that they could adjust to go with whichever content they chose from math. And then we voted from each of the categories which game they wanted to create from their classmates, and then the students got to test their own games, and then they would request adjustments to improve their games further. So it was a fun way to practice coding and review some of the concepts from this school year, and some of my students were even doing it outside of school with this concept that we started in class. So it was a really fun assignment that they enjoyed.
I'm Tony Denardi, East Pete, 4th grade. I was trying to figure out a way to have my students during the flex period. These students are students that scored proficient on their diagnostic assessments for ELA, to have them more engaged. So I came up with an idea to do debates. This way it would hit like all 4 of the domains of ELA, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And through this, they're getting an opportunity to interact with a debate chatbot through Magic School. So I create the instructions. It's very focused. It's only on that topic. The topics that we choose are grade level appropriate, like should recess be longer? Of course, they all say yes. But they get to analyze both sides, so not everybody can argue one side. So they get to research both sides of it, formulate effective research questions when they're doing this. When they're doing it, though, they also have to ask it for more information, like evidence, elaboration. They have to take that, put it into their debates, and the real magic really happens when they finally put it all together and they stand up in front of everyone and argue their side. And then they respectfully have a rebuttal to the other side. I think it's one of the clear things that really needs to happen is that respectful interactions back and forth, even when they disagree about something. So I'm finding it very helpful in the class, and the students just love it.
Hello, my name is Julie Miller, and I teach 4th grade at Morristown Elementary School. I just want to say thank you for the pilot Prime School and for what you do. I also want to explain how I have been using AI in my classroom. I am by no means an expert, but I'm trying it out and seeing how it works with my students. And one way that I tried it out was I decided to use it for text-dependent analysis feedback. Students are expected to read a passage and answer a prompt. And when they answer the prompt, they're expected to prove their thinking by revisiting the passage and providing evidence for their thinking. And so they get nervous about it, and this is just a way that they can build confidence. They can upload their practice prompt and get immediate feedback. And what I especially appreciate is that the quick feedback allows for students to revise while their thinking is fresh, when you have a classroom of 25, 26, 27 students, it's sometimes hard to get to every single student, so the quick feedback is certainly appreciated. And then I love that it gives areas of strengths to start. So it lets them know, yes, you're doing this really well, keep going, you're doing a great job. And then it goes into areas for growth, and then it just gives general feedback for mechanics. So I really think it's wonderful, and the kids really appreciate it, and I felt like they gained confidence, and it also helped reinforce that writing is a process, and it's not just once and done, and that it can be refined and revisited. And I just really appreciated being able to use it, and I hope to be able to continue to use it.
So I have the privilege of sharing thoughts from Dr. Brown, who is our 7th and 8th grade art teacher at Centerville Middle School. So I'll be reading her exact words. Allowing students to use teacher-curated tools within Magic School meaningfully supports both creativity and critical thinking during the comic strip project in my 7th grade art class. The image generator, which is Adobe embedded in Magic School, when used strictly as a reference, helps the students visualize characters, settings, and perspectives, while still requiring them to translate those ideas into original, hand-drawn artwork. I plan to use this tool in the future with an 8th grade project on surrealism. Tools like Expand My Idea encourage students to deepen their storytelling, add detail, and make stronger personal or real-life connections in their narratives. Additionally, a teacher-created custom chatbot serves as a guided brainstorming partner, helping students generate ideas, ask questions, and refine their concepts without replacing their own voice. I was able to give the bot directions to fit the parameters of the assignment and special considerations. The Make It Relevant tool was included to help students make connections to career and real-world experience. Together, those 4 tools enhanced the creative process, supported diverse learners, and promoted intentional student-driven artistic decision-making. And those 4 tools are highlighted in the middle, where that yellow 4-tool student AI options is on this slide. The teacher moderation feature provided an important layer of oversight throughout the project. It allowed her to monitor student interactions within Magic School in real time, ensuring students stay focused on the comic strip assignment and followed all requirements. If a student entered content that was off task or not appropriate for school, such as something violent, the AI tool redirected them with prompts that guided them back to acceptable and relevant ideas. This helped maintain a safe, purposeful learning environment while reinforcing expectations and supporting students in making appropriate creative choices. So the other 2 items that she has on the slide is a student prompt for the Expand My Idea tool, where the student gave an idea, and then the chatbot helped the student develop the rest of the comic strip idea. And down at the bottom is the Adobe image generator tool, where the student described what they wanted, and then what they were able to generate were 4 different images, and then the students took that generated image and redrew it in their own perspective.
Hi, my name is Melissa Kreider, and I teach 8th grade English Language Arts over at Landisville Middle. We were able to use AI in a few different ways within my classroom, specifically here in the winter/spring. I'm going to start on the right. Our very first foray really into AI was using it as a way to study for their big grammar test on verbals, which is a huge PSSA 8th grade concept that is really tricky for our kids. So they were able to study and get they got 10 baseline questions, and then based on their score on those first questions, which were a mix of multiple choice, fill in the blank, short answer, they were able to get more or ask for more so that it could help them study. So I got a lot of great feedback on that tool for that. The big way we used it though in English is for getting writing feedback. So you'll see in the middle, I built a tool for students to get writing feedback on their TDAs. I was able to insert our TDA rubric for the state's 8th grade expectations for the TDA, the TDA continuum that the state provides, many of those documents, so that it could specifically tailor the feedback to what the state is looking for an 8th grade writer when it comes to writing their TDAs on the PSSA. So they were able to put in each paragraph part by part so that they could get specific paragraph or specific feedback on each paragraph, edit it, get additional feedback, and continue on with the process. So what you see in the middle is feedback on a third body paragraph for a TDA that we were writing on To Kill a Mockingbird in my advanced 8th grade class. On the other side, you will see we also write a big research paper, so I created an optional feedback tool for students to do. All of my students in my advanced classes did the TDA feedback tool, and then they were given the option for the optional one for their research paper. I got a lot of great feedback on both of those as we were working. Other things that are not on this slide would be our use of Canva AI for our speech portion of our research unit. Sue came in and we were able to do a lesson on how do you generate good photos in Canva AI and in Magic School AI? How do we actually cite it in Noodle Tools? So building on those skills that we do in our 8th grade library lessons of actually not just moving their database sources from their database into Noodle Tools, but actually creating a new source and doing all of that. I was also able to make some fun additional Canva AI games for students to use. My personal favorite is an MLA9 review that was to Oregon Trail. That looked like the Oregon Trail game from the 80s, so they all really enjoyed that. The other thing that I created to help my class is an AI editing disclosure form. You will notice that for level 2, which is mostly where we live, it says that they need to disclose how they use it, so I made a Google form. That also, it not only works for Magic School, but a lot of our students want to use Grammarly to put their writing through. So that also worked for Grammarly. It taught them where do I find the URL. I made sure to link in the Hempfield Grading and Reporting Guidelines on AI usage, what constitutes plagiarism under AI, so they know. And then they also got a chance to ask any questions that they might have about AI and explain their usage. So overall, so far, it's been a positive experience within my classroom.
Hi, so my name is Jeremy Gwynn. I teach math and computer science at the high school. What I use AI, a little backstory first, is we have a unit where the students use microcontrollers to program LED light strips. So a lot of students have LEDs in their rooms, and we take them and they learn how to connect the microcontroller to the LEDs and program the lights to move up and down, to turn on, things like that. Back up a couple years ago, I went to a sporting event, and they passed out those wristbands. If you've ever been at a concert, sometimes they give those LED wristbands, and they go to the music or they go to the promo before a game. So it gave me the idea of how can I incorporate that, since I was already using the LEDs in my classroom. But to do that is a lot. Finding the beats per minute of a song and kind of finding the timing and all that up, it would be overwhelming for the students to be able to kind of do that on their own. So as AI kind of came into it, I was like, that's a perfect example where AI can kind of do the tedious part of it, and then the students can kind of focus on the creativity of, the color changes that they want and kind of how that all kind of flows. So last year I incorporated kind of using just Gemini, kind of letting them kind of go on their own. And they did a great job, and it was more me kind of helping them lead some of the prompts that they needed. So this year, we actually kind of just finished this unit about 2 weeks ago, is I kind of switched to Magic School. And the one nice thing about Magic School is I can control the prompt a little bit more, where in Gemini, it was giving some of the code that we really didn't go over as much, where I can actually kind of tailor it to some of the stuff we've been going over. And then it makes it easier for me to kind of see their thinking and their process and their prompts, which I thought was pretty cool. And it was pretty neat to see what the students came up with, and being able to take something that really 2 years ago would be overwhelming, just so much code at that level that they wouldn't be able to do, and really kind of show some of the stuff they had through creativity. It was pretty neat. So that's kind of how I've been using it in one aspect.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Lead. I am an ELA teacher who teaches 10th, 11th, and 12th grade English at the high school. So in my realm, I kind of tiptoe between the 3 and the 4 on the policy that you see in front of you. Where we take things slightly a step further is the importance of citing where the information comes from. Whether that is an AI tool or not, you still have to take that information from elsewhere and provide credit for where it comes from. So the 2 examples I provide up here are actually within Magic School AI utilizing rooms. As many of the other teachers have spoken to, one of my favorite things about Magic School is the scaffolding. So I, as the teacher, am able to provide Magic School what I want my students to be able to do, give rubrics that I have created, give access to certain websites that I want students to go to. It'll actually scaffold Magic School AI down to the fact that we'll only look at those websites when finding that information, so it doesn't just go out. And one of my favorite things, which students hate, is it is not afraid to say no. So with a lot of the other ChatGPT and Gemini, they have the freedom to explore and get any answer that they want, but if they are going off the rails at all within these rooms, Magic School will bring them back on the rails and tell them that doesn't have anything to do with this assignment, let's bring it back and talk about this, which I find really, really nice. The 2 examples I have up there come from our research paper in the Sci-Fi Dystopian Lit course. One of the biggest issues and struggles students have is the starting point. So sometimes it's, I don't know really what topic I want to do my research on, or I have an idea of what I want to do with this, but I don't really know what the keywords are that I can use to possibly do research. The big thing with this is that I like using Magic School AI as the starting point, giving them everything they need and the tools so that they can actually now do the research on their own. So step 1 is getting them over the initial hump, which is, I can't figure out my topic. We do a censorship editorial where they have the option of choosing a banned book in schools, doing research on why that particular book is banned, and then taking a stance on their own, whether that's in support of or against that particular book. But for them, it kind of bridges the gap of the initial step where a lot of them fail and they just can't find that topic that really interests them, or they can't find that book that they really want to do more research on, and takes them to that first step. But with a really heavy emphasis on, they are openly citing Magic School AI as the source that they're getting some of the information from. So that's why we kind of make our way into that 4th realm there, where they are getting the information from Magic School AI, they are paraphrasing, in some cases quoting in some elements of their papers, but it is with the human oversight. One of the things I really try and have my students do is challenge the AI when they feel as if the information that is provided is not correct. And it's interesting how quickly AI will turn things and say, you know what, now you're actually right, now that I look at that. So that provides them with that skill. That is one thing that I think students of this generation need to understand. The first result they get in a search is not always going to be the information they're looking for. And the nice thing about AI is you have the ability to challenge it, and you don't need to be afraid to do so. So that's something that we have them in a skill they practice within the opening steps of the research paper and the censorship editorial that I do in my class.
So Mrs. Lewis was here, but she had to leave. She was not able to stay when the meeting started a little later than we thought. So she gave me a few notes, and she used it in similar ways to what Melissa was talking about with the editing feedback. And so with her 9th grade research papers, she entered the papers in and asked the papers to give feedback. But what I think was most interesting that she emphasized in the notes that she gave me were the important, rich conversations that she had with her students related to voice. So when certain suggestions were given by AI, she really emphasized the importance of not always taking it exactly the way AI presented it, and then having students make decisions on whether they liked it or didn't like it and why. And then she also emphasized that in their research papers, then they had to cite AI. So for many of our 9th graders, it was their first time that they had to cite AI as part of their paper. So she included that. Mrs. Lewis also teaches AP Language and Composition, and she also used the same kind of feedback, except here she was able to upload into Magic School the College Board rubric for feedback specific to the essay type that she was having her students do. And again, students engaged in great conversations about things that they would have missed if they hadn't had AI, but then also things that AI missed. And through this, she found that it led to these rich conversations in peer review As someone who taught English myself for a long time, sometimes peer review was not the most productive time in a classroom. And this was one way that she found that they really engaged in much better conversations. Often kids write their rough drafts and then they think they're done. And these were ways to really push them to improve their writing, and she really appreciated those pieces. Then Mrs. Miller is at the Farmdale Music Conference, or conference, it may be a conference, but concert going on right now in her mom role. So she couldn't be here today, but the science department has been doing so much work, and you've heard from Katie before, in the STEELS implementation. And at the secondary level, since we did not purchase a big program, instead they are writing everything. And she has just emphasized over and over again how much work they were able to do because of AI, that they would not have been able to produce nearly as much work this past year. So they've been creating GEMS and Gemini in order to really look at the layers that are part of all of the standards. So they enter into Gemini the standard itself, the science and engineering practices, the cross-cutting concepts, and the disciplinary core ideas. So all of those get entered in, and then they start asking for Gemini to produce assessment questions, which is really hard to create multiple choice questions that do the kinds of thinking that are part of the STEELS standards. So they enter those in, and they start asking Gemini to give them samples. And she emphasized that while it's helping, they're going so much faster because of it, it doesn't replace their teacher expertise, because often they'll get back things that might have multiple answers that are correct, or it's really not quite asking what they want it to be asking, and they can continue to feed Gemini and ask for more specifics to refine the questions that come out of it, but it is saving a significant amount of time. She said it allows our science teachers to produce high-quality, district-specific curriculum in a fraction of the time it would take to write it from scratch, or at the cost of purchasing a pre-made program. It is saving them enormous amount of time, and they're getting quality assessment questions out of it. They're able to generate answers that are very close, and they just keep refining and clarifying. It's a time saver as they are doing brainstorming for their storylines that are now part of their units, and it's just part of continuous living process for them. The teachers are using AI to get a head start on drafting, allowing them more time to focus on the classroom interactions that actually allow students to meet the standard and encourage student achievement.
So first and foremost, I have a couple slides here, but I don't know that I can match what you just saw with the teachers and their creativity here. So I just want to take a quick minute to thank these outstanding and creative educators who came to share amazing things tonight that they're doing with AI in their classroom. We have a great group of teachers here in front of you and out in the districts exploring these resources and doing an amazing job with technology that is certainly moving at a fast pace. That's going to be definitely a big part of students' future. Thanks for all you do, and I feel like I need to give a shout out to the little one that we have here for being so patient and keeping occupied. So I have a couple slides here at the end. It's just going to show you some data based on some of the resources that we've been using. So this is a slide here that shows the generations, total generations by school. And this is specific to Magic School. So we talked a little bit about Canva AI, we talked a little bit about Gemini, and also Magic School. Magic School is a program that I'm able to get some actual statistics behind. So if you take a look at this graph, it shows it broken out by school, but it also shows you the total number here. You can start to see that we were using Magic School in some ways early on, all the way back based on this graph to May of 2025. And then you look up to January 2026, where we had some more usage there and some of the free tools that they had. And then you look at the February-March jump there, and you can see that we jumped almost 200%, actually a little over 200% in usage there. And some of that was getting the Exploring of Magic School up and running, and also providing some professional development. So in February, we had a professional development day that we had a number of different sessions from some of our teachers and our tech integration specialists that were offered that day to be able to show them what Magic School AI was all about and how they could use it in their classroom. And you saw some great examples here tonight of how that's taken off. So you see that jump in February and March. April obviously is PSSAs and some other things going on, so a little bit of drop in usage there as well.
Mr. Paul, this is really interesting. So am I correct here that each color band on each bar is the number of, when you say generations, does that mean the response to an AI query?
Exactly. Great question. I should have mentioned that. So the number of generations here is just that. So if I got a response back from the system, that's one generation.
Gotcha.
If I asked a follow-up question and got another response back, that would be another.
What are your thoughts on why schools have such vastly different numbers of generations, and why it does not appear to be correlated to grade level? Like, if you had just sort of asked me to guess what this was going to be, I would have said, oh, the high school is doing it by far the most, because those students are older, more sophisticated, they're doing, but yet that's not what we're seeing here. So what are your thoughts on that?
Remember that this is only looking at Magic School, and so at the high school, we are really working with Gemini quite a bit as well.
Okay.
And so I think that would probably be like, I know, and Mrs. DiMaria might want to jump in, because often in the classes in the library doing research, they're using both. They may start with Magic School and then they move into Gemini, and we see them fluctuating back and forth.
Okay, so this isn't all AI generation, it's just AI generation through that one school?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike. Next slide here just covers some of the student tools that have been utilized in the classroom. One thing to mention here too is a lot of the top ones that you see here are ones that were referenced in different projects that the teachers in front of us were doing as well, but this just gives you an idea of some of the percentages of the different tools that students are using. The other thing to mention on this slide is Magic School itself is not open and accessible to the students all the time. It is a very controlled environment where the teacher opens up a room for them to be able to go in and work through the project, the prompt, the custom chatbot, whatever it is that the teacher created. So you can just see here from this slide, we wanted to show you from a teacher standpoint in the previous slide, but there's also a lot of student use to this product as well, and the different tools that they have within the product. So.
All right, so as Dr. Dandridge mentioned, we are continuing to vet tools, and we'll be back in June to talk more about Magic School and have updated data, because even what Jeremy pulled here is a couple weeks old, and as we continue to use it, those numbers continue to grow. Additionally, as Jason and I continue to work with departments through the curriculum cycle, we'll continue to collaborate with AI integration into the curriculum. It's important, our teachers are experimenting, they are trying all kinds of great things, but we also want to make sure that we are intentionally placing it at different places in the curriculum, and that's part of what Jason and I will do as we continue to work through each year of the curriculum cycle.
Do you have any questions for the folks here tonight?
Of course I do, yes. Hi. First of all, I want to thank all of you so much for getting out there. I mean, Julie, I think it was you said, like, I got in there and tried some new things. So thank you for, giving a pat to the high school there with trying new things. I was lucky enough I was able to attend the AI community forum that was at the Ware Center at the end of last week, and was able to hear from folks across the IU, including neighboring districts, about this very thing, and including Secretary Dr. Carrie Rowe, right, about all of this. And I just want to tell each of you how proud of you I am and was sitting in that audience, hearing from folks from around the state, but particularly locally in the 22 districts that are in the IU, and how the variety of usage, right, that's occurring in adoption and policy, and just hearing from districts who are kind of leading in this. You know, we heard from Penn Manor and Pequot Valley were both on the panel, and hearing kind of what they're doing, and me sitting in the audience knowing that our teachers are right there alongside those folks pioneering in the county, and being kind of at the forefront of this, and really it's a testament to the work that all of you are doing, that our curriculum team and our librarians team, and that this board has, you know, encouraged you to explore. So thank you, first of all. Questions? So can you talk to us a little bit about, when we're talking about Magic School specifically, more controlled environment, you are able as an educator to kind of set up your prompts, set up the room, set up your chat bots, all of that. Can you talk to us a little bit about the feedback? So as an English person, right, ELA person, that's my lens, but for all of it, right? When students are prompting for feedback in Magic School versus a different LLM, like Gemini, can we hear about, like, if student puts an essay, right? We're talking about essay or research into that and requesting feedback on, like, here's my thesis, right? Can you give me feedback on this, knowing that this is my rubric? How is feedback different in Magic School versus something that they would use in the wild or even in our version of Gemini?
I work a lot with thesis statements in Magic School and other environments, so I'll take this one. Magic School, as you heard exemplified in all of our teachers' work, it has the context of exactly what we're asking our students to strive for, that ultimate goal of achieving each part of the rubric. So because we have the ability to build that outside of the class time, instead of asking students and instructing students on how to build things like GEMS and Gemini, they're able to use the tool right away rather than figure out the mechanics of building the AI tool and then putting their work into it. So what is it we're actually asking students to do at that point? Write a thesis, not how to build a GEM. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the instructional purpose is a little bit different. Magic School does, again, provide those parameters. It makes it a safe place to do so. And my favorite, but not their favorite, the students, of course, is that it won't give them the answer. It will guide them through it. I've been using the term choose your own adventure a lot, especially when it comes to writing thesis statements. I just worked with a 9th grade class that came through doing a societal issues paper. And what the teacher said to me that I was working with was, you wouldn't believe the synthesis that's happening outside of their actual writing. When we start with Magic School, it has all the context of the assignment. They build that first, potential research question, which will later become a thesis statement. And then once they've conducted all their research, to go back, like we ask them to go back and look at it. Did you accomplish answering that research question? Do you need to adjust the question? Do you need to adjust your research? That kind of higher level thinking when it comes to something like a research paper hasn't happened. One, because of time. So we're cutting corners on things that are less important for students and allowing them that more complex thinking and synthesis.
Thank you.
And one thing I can speak to as well, one nice thing on the teacher end is that we, with our colleagues, can test the chat bots before the students have the ability to use them. I work very closely with Mrs. DiMaria, and numerous times I'll create a room or a bot, and I'll say, hey, can you hop in here as a student and see what you see? And I actually get full readouts of all of the generations that happen between the student and the AI. So I'm able to see, okay, it's giving them too much here, I don't like this. I've gone into the custom chatbots and literally put the text, do not provide them with the answer, help them get there. And you'll see the AI will actually adjust around that, literally telling students, I cannot generate the thesis for you, however, I can help you come up with ideas for your research. So the one nice thing is we have the ability to test the AI before we're immediately just jumping it out to students. So with the prompts on the back end, providing it with as much scaffolding and as much information that we already have in place kind of helps with that, whereas in Gemini, there's a lot of back end stuff you have to do as the student. here's my assignment, here's what I need to do, here's the grade level I'm at, here's the state that I'm in. We get to do that on our end, on the back end, so the students are just choosing their own adventure and getting to the end point that we're looking for them to get to.
And that kind of leads me right into my next question, which is, for you as educators who have used custom chatbots and put in those parameters for your students, as far as prepping your lessons, and like how has that changed, your time for that and efficiency? Different from what you were doing before you were using these tools, right?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I on my end, just from the classroom, it's saved me time. The one, again, class sizes vary throughout times and they happen the way they happen, but I have 2 classes of 30 students. I'm one person. So I can't provide 60 rounds of feedback to my students, and I can't be over the shoulder of every one of them to ensure that they're getting to where they need to go. So it has saved me an immense amount of time, given me the ability to provide oversight on the back end as opposed to every single student over their shoulder in a matter of 80 minutes. And it has provided me, beyond just the research paper, really the ability to enhance my lessons. So on the teacher end, I know we're focused more on the students. As all teachers know, like, we have a lesson that bombs. It is what it is. Some years it goes well, some years it doesn't. But I'm able to ask AI for suggestions on how to better reach my students on their level, and that's been super helpful for me, and I've noticed that my lessons have gotten better because some of the other, I don't even want to call it tedious, but the work that is difficult for me to do on my own, it's kind of saved some of that time so that I can focus on things like how can I make some of these lessons that aren't reaching my students better.
So it hits student engagement as well.
Yes.
I would say prep time is immensely saved with using Magic School. Just even asking to take a lesson plan that you've previously written and add new standards as standards are changing. As you saw a little bit with Katie Miller's slide, I'm writing curriculum right now and we don't have school library standards that PD recognizes. We're working on that. However, I'm having to upload all the new standards so that I can, use Magic School as a tool to actually help write the curriculum as well. So I know that we're all here to present, all these great things that our students are doing with it. I think that it's a typical thing. We care about them first, right? So I think the next progression that will come with professional development is how to use this as on the professional side to write curriculum, to write lesson plans, to enhance, the work that we've already done. But I feel like it's a little bit secondary right now because we're still getting ahead of it with how students are engaged with it.
I mean, that's using it in a job. That's using it in your professional setting, which is something we want to model for our students when they go into whatever job they go in. So I see it hand in hand. I don't see it as something separate, but. Sorry.
Well, through a user experience lens, which is kind of my world, right? At times is that you have multiple user types, right? Our students, yes, are our primary users in this scope, but so are you. So thank you. Those are my questions.
Anybody else?
I just want to compliment all of you on an exceptional presentation. It's certainly no secret around this table that I get very chippy when people put slides up and then read them to us. And that's not what we saw tonight. The slides were part of it, your explanation was part of it, exactly what a presentation should be. So thank you.
I just want to thank you as well. I always love getting a peek inside what's happening in the classrooms. Really exciting work that you all are doing. And I know our students are benefiting from all of it. So thank you.
I'm still afraid of AI. I don't know how to do it, but I know I can walk across the street to Julie and she'll show me what I need to know.
But don't be afraid, Judy, because what I heard is that it creates critical thinking, like that they're questioning it, that it can say no. Like,
no,
I think our kids are really in tune and taking all of that very seriously, and I love that aspect of it because they're questioning it just as much, I think, as we are too, which is awesome.
And I also really loved that it was the math teacher who used creativity. Like, we don't often think of creativity in the math world, generically
What do you mean?
speaking.
We're creative all the time as math teachers.
But I think that's awesome that we can blend that into non-stereotypical traditional ways.
It's exciting to see because really they are all pioneers. This is such a change in how we have taught for so many years, and seeing that we have people who are willing to take risks and are cutting edge with this is amazing for our Hempfield teachers, and being able to see that it goes from primary to AP classes. Like, we're using it everywhere in certainly ELA and math and everywhere in between. It's exciting to see what our teachers are doing.
Thank you.
And then we're modeling it for our student teachers. Thank you for being here. Right? And utilizing that, it's beautiful. So thank you all.
Thank you guys so much for being here late on a school night. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you. Like we said, more to come next month. We'll be back to talk a little bit more about some of the tools and recommendations for the future. So thank you all.
You're not going to stay around for policy discussions? Come on.
You do that part.
Dr. Brossman's still out there.
Thank you.
Good seeing you too. Good night. Thanks for being here. Thank you.
Okay.
Great job, everyone.
That being said, we are going to switch into the policy section of tonight's meeting. We have several policies on the agenda for first reading consideration, so I'll turn it over to Dr. Musser.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know it looks like a daunting list, but we are going to move through it fairly quickly this evening. As I've shared with the board before, May is going to be our SML policy month moving forward. Every year we will be putting on policies that somehow are either impacted by either sexual or misconduct or liability issues for the district. So this will be a regular occurrence on May when we will review these policies. Dr. Dandridge, I owed him a favor. He snuck in 201, admission of students. That will not be on our SML review in future Mays, but we wanted to make sure we had some direction as we have some families that are looking for some guidance as they enroll their students for the upcoming year. So if it pleases the board, I'd like to address 103 and 104 together. Both of those policies are your Title IX policies and are very, very legalese driven. Some of the changes that you'll see in these policies are we added religious creed as part of the changes. We've taken out the consent language, which was a large definition. I believe when the policy was first drafted from a PSBA standpoint, they wanted the consent piece to be larger in the policy, but really it's more for the people implying or using the policy that consent is under concern. So they removed that from all policies. They added the race language that you see, and there's also an area at the bottom where I missed a religious creed addition in the complaint section on both 103 and 104. I do not really want to make a whole lot of other changes to either 103 or 104 at this time. As you know, in 2024, there were new regs that were pushed out that this district was injunction from enjoining, and then they were eventually disbanded altogether. I still believe that there's going to be some additional Title IX work coming, but we will be reviewing policy 103 and 104 every May. If those changes come out in between those time periods, it will cause us to act very quickly. They're normally pretty quick to introduce those changes. So at this point, I'm only recommending the proposed highlight changes for 103 and 104.
Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, why are we taking out the consent language? Because consent is an important element of either a defense or in some cases a prosecution of a Title IX claim.
Yeah, the consent language was moved in all the PSBA's new guidelines.
I don't care about
I know how you feel about them.
We're recommending that we take it out.
I am recommending that we take it out. I do want to stay consistent with any PSBA updates as it is under review at this point. If it's something the board wishes strongly to keep, we can certainly keep it. It's not something, Grant, I feel strongly about either way. It's just not a definition regularly
I think
used.
the definition, on both sides of a Title IX action, I think the concept of consent is important. I think the definition is a good one. It is comprehensive.
The definition's a great definition.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't see any purpose in removing it.
I mean, I think my concern, or not concern, but when I noticed the same thing, it is not mentioned in the policy, though.
And I did notice that. I mean,
That was my
that-
question.
I
Is this
noticed
better
it.
served in more of an AR space
That's
rather
why,
than the policy?
that's why it was removed. But again, if it's the board's desire to keep it in there, because I'm not going to argue, it's a great definition.
I think if we're going to have a definition, it should be a part of the
And
policy.
I don't disagree with that, and I was perplexed about why there's this good definition that's not referenced elsewhere. But if we're going to have in an AR what a definition is, that definition should be derived from board policy, and this is a good place to put it. And also, I'm not sure just why we're taking it out. I don't want an adult to assert consent as a defense to sexually harassing a 13-year-old.
So if consent was littered throughout the policy, connected to numerous other policies that caused the district some difficulties in updating the policy because of that change, I'd be more adamant about removal. Because it's isolated, it's not used in the policy anymore. If it's the wish of the board to keep it in, that is fine with the district. It's not going to impact our ability to update this policy like it would some other policies that we would like to mirror.
Yeah. I guess the other thing I'll say is, as we look at these things going down the road, I don't want to have to reinvent that definition. I mean, the definition is a good one, and Mrs. Small, I agree that it's odd to have a definition that's not tied to the other language of the policy, but my suspicion is that at some point it was in there. Somehow the word consent got removed, but the definition did not. It doesn't hurt anything to leave it in, and I don't want to lose some good verbiage should we decide to use it in the future.
I have no concerns with leaving it if that's the desire of the board.
Does anyone else have any thoughts about that?
And just for the board too, 103 is our students, 104 is our staff, but very similar.
Personally, I'm good with leaving it in as well. I think to Mr. Keener's point, it offers some pretty solid detail around what consent is, and taking it out caught my attention too. The other thing that caught my attention, not that it's a big deal, just caught my attention, is race includes all of the following. Number 3, traits associated with race, which includes but is not limited to hair texture and protective hairstyles such as braids, locks, and twists.
That's in reference to the Crown Act. It's new legislation.
Is that right?
We
Okay.
talked about that, the dress and groom in our last policy.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Tab, who's growing his hair out, decides to put some dreads in.
Yeah, I mean,
that suddenly denotes
yeah.
race. Is that what
Good
we're
to have
saying?
options.
It's odd to me. Yeah, whatever. There you go. I'm okay with leaving consent in.
Any other questions or comments for 103 or 104? So we'll make those highlighted change. That religious creed piece that's in the complaint section will correct, and then we'll leave the actual definition in for now. And again, we'll be revising and revisiting these every May. So with that said, we're going to move over to Doug here for his 201.
So we started discussion on this last month, really looking at 201, trying to clean up a couple things. One of the conversations was about the change of compulsory attendance once you start kindergarten, kindergarten is not compulsory until you start. Once you do, it is compulsory. Our language was talking about students who transfer into us potentially being in a bad spot because we'd be contrary to our policy, which would not be admitting them into kindergarten. So at the very end of the policy, I'll start at the end, we added a admission of transfer students section, which should clean that up and allow us to admit students who had started a kindergarten elsewhere to come into our kindergarten. The other conversation was around whether or not to make any exceptions for students starting first grade. Our current policy basically says you are 6 years old or else you don't start first grade. Sort of in the same conversation of kindergarten being compulsory, some of our families do go out and complete very rigorous private kindergarten programs. And whether or not we would accept that for a student who hadn't quite reached 6 years of age for entry into first grade was the question that I asked. You said you'd like to see some language of what that could look like. So I've drafted a paragraph there. When you look around the county, we are really all over the place on this issue. We have a few schools that still keep the 6 years of age as the black and white cut. You either are 6 or not to go into first grade. You have some schools who will allow for a readiness test complete by a psychologist over the summer. And if you show readiness for first grade, then you can enter first grade. Some of the drawbacks there is we don't have psychologists in the district that work over the summer. There's an additional cost to that, and it is still subjective. So I'm not recommending us go down that road. One of the other versions is to try and look at the program that they're coming from. So that's what the language that you see in front of you is. A kindergarten program that would meet the requirements of being state approved, public or private, of 450 hours or more, which equates to the 180 days of kindergarten, and has instruction in the essential kindergarten standards that we're looking for, could be considered for entry into kindergarten. With this language right here, we're capping it really for those that are within a month of 6 years of age. So we are saying between that September 1st and October 1st, basically if your birthday's in September, we'll consider if you've completed a private program to come into first grade. So that would bring it back to you for review to decide if that's something you wanted to move forward with, if you wanted to adjust any of that language, or if you had any questions that I can answer for you.
I just had 2 items. One, I'm just curious in your red line additions where it's state approved, do we need to specify Pennsylvania state approved, or are you open to any public state approved program?
Yeah, I mean, we can look at that where we left it in there as needing a review of the superintendent or designee at the end
So
of the
there's still
day
the
to
option.
approve it, so we do have flexibility there. If you want me to tighten that up a little, I can. We would be using the state's Edna database to determine whether or not a program in Pennsylvania is approved. I'm sure there's other databases that we can use to determine if programs outside of Pennsylvania would be approved.
And then my second question is just, I appreciate you coming back to us with some options here. I'm assuming this feels good to you? You're good with all of this?
Yeah, I think...
The wiggle room isn't too much wiggle room?
Yeah, just from my perspective, with kindergarten being compulsory, there are some quality kindergarten programs out there that our families are exploring and paying for, and I think that I am certainly open to the conversation of if they've gone through one of those programs and they're close in age to their peers, entering them into first grade, I think they would be set up for success, and I don't think that it would be a large gap there that we'd have to close. I do want some guidelines around it, which is the attempt of the paragraph, so yeah, I'm comfortable with what I'm presenting here.
Okay. And the may be approved, that language doesn't create a lot of extra craziness for you in the summer registration period?
No, I mean, every year we do have some questions from families, either that are just short of the deadline, or even some that are in preschool that want to plan ahead.
Right.
It's a handful of conversations, but I don't think it will be an overwhelming amount of work.
Okay,
I did talk to our registration department about this. They actually really like this language and having some opportunities for those families that were close. No matter what deadline you pick, you're still going to have some that are upset. I am sure those that have an October 1st, 2nd, 3rd birthday are going to be upset, but you got to draw the line somewhere.
I do think it's a nice middle ground. I would say that probably our last revision was maybe an overcorrection out of concern with how our policy was currently being implemented with the additional testing and the discrimination potential that existed in that policy. So this feels a little bit more right-sized.
I was going to say, I feel like this September month is helpful because I feel like it is much more likely for if someone was coming in from out of state, for example, that they might have been operating under a different deadline. But I don't think it's usually much outside those September dates, in my experience. So, yes.
I think it's great. I mean, my only question, in one of those situations where I want to preserve discretion for the administration, we do have an October 2nd situation. Are we going to read this as that's an absolute bar to enrollment? Or will you still be using your discretion to say, they've complied with everything, the child is mature, we're okay with the 2 days?
We are setting that line at September 30th, and that's the guide that we would have to use. There are some areas where we have to be black and white. If the board desires to open that larger than just 1 month, then I think we should consider that here. My job becomes tremendously more difficult if you leave gray area around that date.
And I guess all I'm getting at is, there's gonna be a situation where Doogie Howser shows up and has gone through a great kindergarten program. They turn 6 on October 2nd, and everyone's gonna be like, it's 2 days. There's also gonna be situations where someone who is not Doogie Howser shows up, has no business being in first grade, and they want you to assert your discretion there. So how can we craft language, if that's the will of the board, that gives you the ability to say, okay, this is an exceptional case, yes, but creates a firm presumption that can be applied most of the time?
I don't think you can,
Yeah,
because
that
then there's
was-
always going to be the gray area and the bumping. Like right now, our policy states that if you're September 1st, correct, you wouldn't be enrolled in
Correct.
first grade. So it's just continuing to bump it if you leave that open.
Right, but they've exercised discretion around September 1st, appropriately so. I mean,
We have not.
No.
No. We have not in the, our kindergarten class, every single one of them have a birthday prior to September 1st.
I'm talking about first grade.
Oh, and, sorry, and first grade would be the same way as well.
Okay.
And see, and then it bleeds in, I thought, when I had discussions with the administration about this, I'm like, okay, we're giving that month for first graders, then are we gonna come back and do the same thing for kindergarten? And that was not their will. So I think if we continue to not have a black and white, you just continue, I mean, then it could be like 5 months into first grade. And
I think our administration is asking us to
They're
like
doing-
have a hard line.
Yeah,
I-
a hard
that's-
line
that's-
with,
You know, that's the feeling I'm getting.
Yeah, and not that we measure ourselves against others, but I will say I read every single 201 across our county. The discretion comes in about testing for readiness and for completing a program. I have not seen a policy that gives discretion over dates. It just becomes muddy.
When we get back into that, we get back into that discrimination piece again of why we allowed one student, what test did they take, how did they take the test, who passed it, who graded it, we get into all that again. If
It's
we
your
could,
job to
if,
discriminate, Dr. Musser. That's what we pay you for.
I understand your opinion in that matter.
well, and I'm confident in our teachers that whether they have Doogie Howser in their class or someone who needs a lot of assistance, that the students will be getting what they need regardless. I think this is just giving a little buffer that has been asked for and seen as a need in the district, but not going so far as to it's all over the place. I mean, I feel confident in our kindergarten and early, childhood teachers.
And we're always going to have that date that we're butting up against. So it's one of those things, if numbers are out of whack, we can certainly revise, just it can't be in May because that is not the appropriate meeting time for that.
Anyone else? Any concerns, questions?
No, I would just reiterate, I do think we need a hard line,
Okay.
a specific date.
I'm in agreement with that as well.
All right, thank you for that. Moving on to 218.3, discipline of students convicted or adjudicated of a sexual assault. Fortuitously for the district, this is not a policy that we have to apply regularly, but you can see why it made our May list. We last looked at this policy, adopt this policy in 2021 when it was actually required. There are not new changes recommended to this policy. We are simply reviewing this policy. Any questions with 218.3?
May I just suggest D, E, F, and G are all in that category. So can we just address them globally? And if no one has any concerns on any of them, we can move on.
They certainly are. That's up to the board.
Did everyone have a chance to review these? And, okay, then I'm amenable to that as well. Anyone else have any concerns with any of those, D, E,
Or G.
Those are all good.
or G? Yeah.
Just some
Okay.
H and down, I have some H.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to say about any of those?
No, as long as the board's reviewed them and comfortable with them. Again, a lot of those are up strictly because of this review process.
And it's moving to a first read.
Yep.
If in the meantime you have questions or concerns that arise, you may bring them up when we review at the first reading. Okay.
Right, so H806, child student abuse. Again, obviously pretty clear why it's in this month. One of the areas they added a new level of sex trafficking in is the child abuse section. It's under 10. That is the only change to this policy and is current with other districts, and is the only change that we are currently recommending. Thoughts or concerns with 806? Largely legal code-driven policy as well.
Thank you.
So 818 is one of those unique policies where what we had, if you look at the original, is not even draftable or redlineable to get to where PSBA, and I know Mr. Keener's not a fan of some of PSBA's work, but they did a really nice job delineating this policy. I don't know, Karen, if you want to add anything as you were looking at this policy, but it's a lot of the things that we're doing that is delineated clear in policy, where if you look at how short our current policy is, those were things that we're doing but weren't delineated in policy. So I don't know if you have any questions, comments, or things to add.
Everything in the new policy is exactly what we've been doing with contractors, so this just reflects our practice.
Any concerns, questions about that one? Okay, thank you.
So pretty major changes there, so we'd obviously like to go to first reading on that policy.
Yep.
And then our final policy for the evening is 824. Again, a policy that has been in front of this board and variations of this board and has been recently revised. Obviously, you know why it's back here again. Currently, administration recognizes that there's some questions about some of this policy, as it's a very tricky policy to navigate for school districts. Right now, we have it listed as no changes. Curious to see what the thoughts are of the board.
Yes, Ms. Brady.
I just had concerns on item 3, page 3, number 3. And I understand why it's written the way it is, but I have concerns about cards and letters to a student without approval from a building principal. As a former teacher, it was not uncommon when a student did something outstanding, or even if you attended dance theater or a musical and saw a student do something wonderful, to, jot a note and say, great job, really proud of you, whatever that might be, or if it's within the realm of classwork, maybe writing a Post-it note during the class and sticking it on their desk and saying, hey, you're doing a great job, or keep it up, or let me know if you need. Those they are personal notes, and so that I feel like could be misconstrued or could be very limiting for educators. And so I understand gifts, but I don't feel like teachers should have to go every time to a building principal to say, can I write a student a congratulatory note or an affirmation note? Yes, Mr. Keener. Oh, I'm not running the meeting.
That's fine.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Keener. Yes, Mr. Keener.
Wait, what?
I'm acknowledging you.
Thank
Yes.
you, Ms.
Yeah.
Mrs. Brady, I agree, and I think when this came up recently, you and I had a similar conversation. My recollection is that the exceptions portion preserves discretion for those sort of friendly notes that you're talking about.
Can you point me to that?
If I'm understanding, I think, because I had the same concern, that we don't want to do anything that has a chilling effect on those very meaningful connections that the faculty develop.
So would it fall under a legitimate educational reason may justify deviation from the rules regarding communication methods? Is that the section you're talking about?
That was, I think, where we came up with.
if that's true and that's the case, and we all agree on that,
That is.
but I understand there's a very fine line between what educational as to, like with the students here tonight, building a climate.
Yeah.
So, and that's where, some of it isn't just purely educational, it's helping to build that climate of feeling belonging
I
within the
think the
building.
real question is, to me, the language is clear, okay? But I'm more concerned, is the language going to be clear to a faculty member who wants to send a note, an encouraging note to a student who's been struggling? Are they going to keep reading down to the exception? Or are we providing education, professional development, letting them know that, no, part of your job is, yes, send that encouraging note. You don't need to ask permission. That's a legitimate educational use.
Well, and we were just talking about our student council asking us as board members to, I mean, I've sent a thank you note to a student before.
Right.
As a board member. So, I mean, I think we fall under this as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that's clear.
So a lot of these are the questions and comments that we went through in depth the last time we went through this policy. And Grant, you're right, we did defer to the educational judgment piece because we also don't want to bombard Dr. Brossman over there with all the letters
You're going to
and
be
things.
disapproving.
And-
Don't you want to
and-
see all of them?
And we
Approving
certainly
letters.
didn't want to take the relationship piece out of our classrooms. Like, we recognize that in today's world, that's an important component. But we wanted to have protections in place when things cross the line. So that's why we landed the way that we landed. I can see taking out the card piece, if that's something the board wishes to do, or I can see leaving it in and applying the exception. But our teachers are not doing that right now because they understand how that works. So it's really how the board wants to delineate that.
I think I actually might have an idea.
Okay.
Let's change number 3 to not say, we'll delete without approval of the building principal, and instead say, without a legitimate educational reason. And that kind of pulls the exception up into the policy so that no one's going to look and wonder which part controls.
If we're going to do that, I would suggest we separate personal gifts out of number 3 and make giving personal gifts without approval from the building principal, and then add an additional giving cards or letters without an educational purpose.
A legitimate.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest, to add that language, something similar to what you just shared, and to separate that out. So I'm very comfortable with
Would you
that.
be okay if we combined 2 and the gifts and cards, moved that up, and then left the gifts there as no, and then did the
Yeah.
educational with 2?
Yep.
That'll work?
Yes.
Any other comments for 824? Those are all the policies I have for the board tonight, then. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mercer. We have a schedule of upcoming meetings. We will next be meeting on May 28th after graduation. It is on a Thursday. Make sure that you've marked your calendar there. And then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And a second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We are adjourned.